Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. This podcast episode is sponsored by Shopify Queen Sarah Jensel of Jensel & Co. Do you currently have a Shopify site selling products or services that aren't performing as well as you're hoping? Or do you have a product or service you'd love to sell, but you have no idea where to start? Well, my girl, Sarah Jensel, the Shopify Queen, is a person to talk to. She is amazing and brilliant at branding and is currently helping me completely revamp my website on Shopify to showcase my new brand and selling my products. So if this sounds like something you've been looking for, please reach out to her on IG at Sarah Jensel, that's Jansel. Leave her the code Sylvie, that's Sylvie, and she will add you to her free Shopify Facebook group, where she coaches weekly on Shopify strategies and has tons of content to help you in your Shopify journey to building your online business. So don't forget, DM her on Instagram at Sarah Jensel, Jansel, and leave her the code Sylvie. She'll reach out and add you to her community. Thank you very much and have an amazing day and enjoy the episode. All right, welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, all things cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Daou. And we have Daniel Brower, who I found on Instagram, who is in Alaska. And I just love finding people all over the world. I mean, I know this is in the United States, but Alaska is a pretty special place, I think. And I'm super excited. He got into cycling and he's been fat biking up there and doing endurance races. And here's a little bit about Daniel before we get and bring him out. So here we go. Okay, he was born in, I'm just going to say Barrow, Alaska, because I can't even pronounce that other name. Or can you give us, what's the official name? Of
Utaqgivk.
Yeah, see, that's why. Thank God he gave me something smaller, Brower, Alaska. He's 40 years old, and the bike is his main fitness for both physical and mental, just staying healthy. He got into endurance racing at the beginning of the pandemic for something to do. I think that's a lot of people's stories. Pandemic was a blessing in disguise for a lot of people. Having never done endurance racing before, there's quite a learning curve, he says. So biking in extreme cold, minus 40, yes, I would imagine, requires a different kit and mindset than biking in plus 15, which is what we all love. So welcome to the podcast, Daniel. I am so excited to listen to your story.
Thank you for having me, Sylvia, and may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th. You're so cute. All right, so the first question is how, like, I know we know how you got into cycling, but give us your story on how you got into cycling.
Okay, so in February of 2019, I had come to the end of the relationship that I had with my significant other, and my father offered me the opportunity to come back to Fairbanks, Alaska, to help him start a business with him and stuff. And I jumped on the opportunity. So I basically got rid of all my worldly possessions. I jumped on a plane with a backpack and a duffel bag, determined to make it. And I apologize about the helicopter. And I came up here to Fairbanks, and I quickly realized that I was in like almost an entirely different planet, just like the atmosphere and the ecosystem. I came from Detroit, Michigan, where at the time it was about 30 degrees, to Fairbanks, Alaska, where it was like negative 25, negative 30 outside. And I didn't have a car, so I ended up having to buy a bicycle. And I bought a regular sized bicycle. Um, and I'm a bigger framed guy. I'm with 180 centimeters and about 120 kilograms, so 6 foot, 300 pounds around there. And a regular size bike just didn't work for me. I didn't feel comfortable riding it. So after a couple of months, I decided that my best course of options for me was to enroll in college. So I enrolled in college, and I was able to save up enough money that I was able to get a fat bike.
Mm.
And with fat bikes, just like any other bike, you have like your couple $100 Walmart special to your 15 to 20,000 carbon fiber, like racing bike. So I
Yep.
decided somewhere in the middle, and I ended up buying a Surly Pugsley.
Ooh.
Um, they're all steel, so I figured it would hold me. And with the extreme conditions up here, I figured that I wouldn't have to worry about it cracking or breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 5 months of having it, I was just biking back and forth to school. My commute was about 10 to 12 miles. So about
That's a fair
17.
distance.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, that's not just like your 5, 7, maybe 10K. That's a good workout 2 times a day, every day.
Yeah. I had went from pretty much letting myself go physically to like slowly rebuilding my body. I was started gaining muscle where like I didn't have muscle before. I was losing weight. And after a while, I found myself going on 20-mile bike rides just for fun. On nights when I found it hard for me to sleep, uh, I would just go on like a 20, 25-mile bike ride.
Whoa.
And in the
In the
process of that, oh, I apologize. What?
oh no, I was just gonna in the cold.
Oh, no, this was in the summer. I've done it in the cold
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Um, and in the process of doing that, I ended up meeting some people. It's called Team Red, White, and Blue, or Team RWB. They're really big stateside, but they're a physical fitness and mental health advocacy group for veterans.
Oh, very
And
cool.
up here, I jokingly refer to it as Boy Scouts with beer, because like, yeah, they go hiking and stuff and mountain climbing. They do all sorts of stuff here in Alaska. It's really fun. But I ended up meeting them and started going on bike rides and stuff with some of the individuals in this group. And as winter began to approach, they started schooling me on some of the stuff that I needed, because I just kind of thought that I would be able to ride my bike just the way that I purchased it. And, it's like buying a $2,000 bike was just the beginning of the adventure. Um, I had to buy studded tires, which up here cost $220 a piece.
Yeah.
Um, I bought these things called pogies, which is, if
Oh
you can
yeah.
see,
Yeah,
the
if you can,
handlebar covers.
yeah, tilt your camera down a little bit. Everybody, if you can, go maybe watch this on YouTube so you can actually see Daniel's bike. Oh yeah. Oh, I have some of those. I've seen them.
They're
You must have
amazing. I
some
can,
heavy duty ones.
yeah, these are the heavy duty ones. They're by Dogwood Designs up here in Fairbanks. And I can ride when it's about 25 below with just my hands in there. It keeps the wind from blowing on my knuckles. It actually it creates a small heat pocket just due to your body heat. So you can like comfortably pull your put your hand in there and out there. For me, I can tolerate up to 20 below. After that, I usually put like a heat warmer or something like that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I rock those pretty much 8 months out of the year when it's cold.
Oh my, 8 months out of the year. Ah. So is it getting nicer right now, being April? I see
Yeah,
that you're
it's 60.
still.
Yeah, it's 60 degrees outside right now, but there's still snow. We got a bunch of snow this year, so it's still melting.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that flag on your bike?
Yes. So the
Oh, I
reason,
thought I thought that was freestanding behind your bike. I'm like, God, you got the bike, you got the flag, but actually the flag is on your bike. That's really nice.
yes, the reason that the flag is on my bike as well is here in Fairbanks, Alaska, as is most other places in Alaska. In the winter, it gets dark. It's dark here. I want to say like 18 to 20 hours out of the day, and so visibility on the road or on the side of the road is a really big issue. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the ways that I solved that was putting a flag on my bike because it draws attention to it when I'm biking. As well, you can't see it now, but I have bike lights inside of the spokes that I use that I
Oh,
turn on. And these particular ones, they flash orange. So I
nice.
try and, while I'm biking at night, I try and maintain a high level of visibility to like hopefully prevent cars from running into me.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm sure as you get snow like anywhere like here, the road starts getting smaller, like
hmm
less
Yeah,
miles. And
absolutely.
if you're using your bike year round, then that could be an issue. So tell me about the endurance racing. Like, how did you, is that local or have you been traveling for that or what's up there in
It's
Alaska?
all local so far. I haven't done any traveling yet. I would like to if the opportunities present itself. One of my dreams is to do the Iditarod Invitational. Are you familiar with the Iditarod, the dog mushing race from Anchorage to Nome?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, that's what the
It's
gentleman. Okay.
yeah, so that you can do that skiing or hiking or I'm not sure if hiking, skiing or fat biking or is it much or is that the options? Or is it just the dog sledding?
Skiing, fat biking, and I think there might be hiking. I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, I thought there was hiking. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the one that Tony did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. That's a that's one of that would be like one of my dreams come true is to be able to do that one. I would say I'm a few years out from that though because that's like there's a lot of preparation that's going to go into biking 1,200 miles in the middle of nowhere in the middle
Yeah.
of winter in Alaska.
Yeah, I would say so. And I was thinking, I thought that he said, I thought that he said that it was starting to become compromising, because I won't say global warming, but there's a lot of lake crossings and things like that. Um, and so I think that might have been one of the reasons why he didn't finish the last one. But anyways, yeah, that sound pretty extreme for sure. I think he got in a lottery. I think he can go in
Oh
a
wow,
lottery. You should check that out.
yeah, I think I will. Um, so up here they have three different races, um, and they're called the Tanana River Challenge, the Chena River to Ridge, and then the White Mountains 100. And all three of them offer their own unique challenges. And the first one that I did was the Tanana River Challenge. Um, to date, I've done it 3 times.
Mm.
The first time I did the race, and I want to say it was like a week before the pandemic officially started. Like the vibe was in the air, but like no one on the news was like, "Oh, we're in a pandemic" type of thing.
Yeah, you're in
And
Alaska.
yeah, and at that time, I want to say like there was only like 24 people that showed up, right? So it was like the diehard people that like probably do it every year. Then I show up out of the blue, wearing Carhartts and stuff.
You're like, who's the new kid?
And the race itself was, I mean, it was pretty chill. Like it goes out 7 miles on the Tanana River, and then it cuts up into the hills. You do a loop that's about 7 or 8 miles, and then you come back. So the total race ends up being about 25 miles or
Okay.
45 miles if you opt for the larger of the two races.
Uh-huh.
Um, I opted for the larger of the two races, and I got a DNF because on my way to the it took me so long to get there. On my way to the second checkpoint, they had already broken it down and was heading back into town. And they're like, "Hey, you can jump on the snow machine, or you can ride your bike back." And I was like, "Oh, I'll ride my bike back." So I just had like 15 miles of just like, man, this sucks.
You're like, dang, I should have taken the offer. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, wow.
So
So,
then fast forward to the next year, I do it again, but I opt to go into the 25-mile race.
uh-huh.
And I finished that one with ease. The race is the same course. And then 2 weeks later is the Chena River to Ridge race. And the Chena River to Ridge takes place in out in Two Rivers, Alaska. So it's about 30 or I want to say about 30 miles north of Fairbanks. And it goes into the Twin Bears campgrounds, and it goes up in some hills. And it's a really normally it's a pretty relaxing race. The only real issues that you have to worry about is just like dealing with the cold. However, the night before, about 8 inches of snow dumped. So yeah, it was less a physical burden and more of a mental burden. Um, Out of the 24 racers that signed up for the 25-mile bike race, only 12 finished, and I would be the last finisher. It took
Oh,
me
good for
11 and a
you.
half hours to finish it. Thank you. And,
Oh my God. Did like how do you prepare for like were you thinking you just gonna take that long?
I mean, I brought water with me. I brought food.
Okay.
Um, I brought my usual kit. I brought like a small change of clothes. Um, I didn't think it was going to take that long, but given that there wasn't a time limit, I figured I was just going to take as long as I needed to. I brought a headlamp with me in case it got dark, which I'm glad I did bring a headlamp because it absolutely got dark. Um, the part where a lot of people ended up tapping out at was there's about a 4 mile stretch in the first 8 miles of it where it's like essentially just uphill. Like you're going uphill and then there's like a flat spot and then you're going
Uh,
uphill. And I ended up having to walk my bike up it. And that's part of the reason why it took so long because with the snow that deep, you just can't really bike up the hill. And the whole time I'm going up, I just see person after person walking back down. And they're like, good luck, man. This ain't worth it. And like every time they said that, it just reinforced the like, okay, I need to prove all of you wrong. Like,
and you're
and
like, I'm getting closer to the beginning. Like to, that there's one less competitor, one other one. One less.
right, right. And then I got to a point where like I want to say I got to like a halfway point into the race where I was just like, well, at this point, I might as well just keep pushing forward because it'll be quicker for me to finish the race than it will for me to turn around and go back. And I ended up making the checkpoint. I was the last person to make the checkpoint, and I want to say there was still 9 miles of the race left. And the checkpoint, they had like a little warming shelter. I couldn't unzip my jacket because I had sweated through it so much and it had froze.
Oh my
But
gosh.
thankfully, I was wearing wool underwear and stuff, so I was still able to keep warm. I wasn't suffering from hypothermia, but yeah, I was just like profusely sweating everywhere, and like all my sweat was just like freezing up everything. And I'm in this I'm in this warming tent, digging through my kit to pull out my headlamp, and for some reason I had a can of bear spray with me, which And those temperatures, it doesn't work anyway, and bears aren't out. I don't know why I brought it, but I accidentally discharged the bear spray in my bag, and thankfully it was so cold that it didn't like go up into the tent. It just stayed in the bag, so I didn't think anything of it. Um, I warm up, I put on my headlamp, and then I start pushing off to go down to the downhill section of this race. It's 9 miles downhill, and we're talking a safety factor of about 5 or 6. Like if you're not paying attention, you can seriously hurt yourself. Um, right about when it gets dark, I start feeling a burning sensation on my forehead, and I didn't think anything of it, so I just take my headlamp off. And when I do that, sweat starts dripping down into my face and my eyes, and I just kind of like rub my face like this. And then I want to say like 30 seconds later, like my eyes start burning and stuff. And I was like, oh no, the bear spray. So now I'm on the side of this hill. It's getting dark. It's like right about 0 degrees outside. And I'm essentially blind on the side of this hill now. And I'm like doing everything I can not to panic, because I know that like the worst thing I could have done in that situation is panic, because I would have made that situation 10 times worse, right?
Yeah.
And thankfully, these races have like safety people. So one of the safety person coming up the rear was actually an off-duty Alaska State Trooper, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm blind." And he's like, "What happened?" So I told him, and he's like, "Oh, you got bear spray in your face." And I was like, "Oh no." And he was like, "Don't worry, I've been sprayed in the face a couple of times. It's part of the job."
I guess
And
it's
I
like
was like,
pepper spray, right?
"Yeah, it's like real heavy duty pepper spray."
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really funny too, because he had like a very, very, like the way he was explaining everything to me, he was talking me through everything, like make sure I stayed calm, I didn't hurt myself. But he was very dry and very straightforward with it. Like there's no sympathy in his voice at all. It was pretty funny. But like I had a jug of hot cider, and I was like, "Can I put hot cider in my eyes?" And he was like, "No, that wouldn't be a good idea."
But then you have like bear spray and sticky stuff on your face.
But after about 8 to 10 minutes or so, the burning subsided to where I was able to see. And then he asked me if I wanted to jump on the snow machine. I was like, "No, I'm gonna finish the race." And he was like, "Okay." So he just kind of like trailed behind me a little bit to like make sure that like I didn't hurt myself or anything. But yeah, I finished the race. Going downhill, I had like my face felt like it had just like had like wintergreen gum. Like just riding my bike, it was just like woo. It was a, it was pretty fun. It's definitely one of those memories that I'm gonna share for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, appreciate that night, the downhill, right? There's gotta
Oh
be a
yeah,
downhill after that. So like, yay, I finished the race. He's like, well done. So that was your second time, right?
yes.
And you went back for a third.
hmm on the third, I did the Tanana River Challenge again. I did that one this past March, and
Oh.
that one was pretty fun. I actually I was the last finisher on that one, and I won something called the Red Lantern Prize, which I guess is something that they do during the Iditarod. It's for the last person to finish the race, and it was pretty cool. I got a cookbook about like how to cook like various Alaska delicacies, a fifth of whiskey, a knife, and like some other little knickknacks and stuff. It was pretty fun.
That was totally worth coming in last.
Oh
Just
yeah,
like
and all
coming
of
in
these
first.
right, and all of
Yeah.
these races too, you get swag. So like, I've gotten, I've collected a small batch of sweaters, some like socks, some gloves, a T-shirt. That's like one of the things up here that they do.
Well, that makes it worth it. See, like 24 people, you leave with a lot of swag, and that's where I saw all your pictures, and I was intrigued by what you're doing up there. Or maybe you did such a good job on social media. I'm like, hey, what's that? Come on, we gotta tell me about this. So now that you've you've kind of mastered. Are you going to go back for that next year?
Yeah, one of the things that I want to do long term is I want to do the White Mountains 100. I have yet to do that one just because like um the race itself is a bit more extreme than just 25 miles.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
takes place in the White Mountains in Alaska, so I want to say it's about 50 or so miles north of here, and
Oh,
you have 42 hours to complete a 100-mile race. There's a cabin or two in between where you can sleep and rest in, but like the most diehard of the racers up here, they do it in about a day. Everybody else, it's like a bit of a journey.
uh-huh.
So that's something that I want to do because that's to me that's the next logical step to get to the Iditarod Invitational.
Yeah, I think that there's are there are there events that you have to complete first to qualify? Is that one of them?
Mm, I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much, but I think so because that's the
Mm.
White Mountains 100 is definitely one of the more extreme winter activities that they have in the state as far as like fat biking is concerned.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, that seems pretty extreme, especially in the winter. When is that one?
It's in late March.
Okay.
All these
So,
all these races I've talked about, they happen in to late February to late March.
so is that when, I guess, when it's the coldest, because all these winter, you're doing some river crossings too, right? That's part of some
Mhm.
of the, yeah. Is there anything in the summer in Alaska?
Uh
It's all in the winter?
there is not so much for fat bike racing up here per se, but there is the Great Alaska Foot Race, which is like I want to say from Anchorage to Seward. It's like a 200-mile foot race that you do as a team.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Hmm There's I mean, in general, one of the beautiful things about Alaska is like it's very pro get outside and be active. So I
Yeah.
mean, there's activities for everyone. I have friends here that are like ultra distance runners. Like they go out on 50-mile runs, 100-mile runs. There's races up here that support that, and I'm just like, that's cool.
That's cool for you. Well, they're probably like, yeah, I would never do what you're doing either. So,
Um, oh, I'm sorry, what?
yeah, no, I was going to ask you. So, what's your dad's business? Are you still working at the business or you went back to
Uh,
school?
no, so I went to school as a drafting technician, and I
Okay.
graduated about a year ago. And I will soon be starting a job working for the state for DOT. Um, my father is getting ready to retire from the local communications company up here, and he's getting into the marijuana business.
Perfect. This a lot of people doing that these days. So the CBD business.
Hmm
Yep. That's big business. I actually tried some for the first time ever in my life. It was I don't know if you've heard of Floyd's of Leadville CBD. Um
I have not.
he is his business is the East Coast. I want to say near Philadelphia, but I don't think so, but it's in that quadrant. And yeah, so he does like CBD gels and things like that. And I was like, help you sleep, that's for sure. You can't.
Huh.
So that was my first experience. I met a friend who had like so Floyd's of Landis is the company, but there's also the team. So I met the team manager and they have like a gravel team. So since you're in fat biking, is there anything for gravel up there or more
Mm.
mountain biking? Is that kind
Oh
of
yeah, yeah,
what's
yeah, and yeah. In the summer, I mean, like I live in the middle of a valley surrounded by hills. So I mean, in the summer, there's a bunch of single tracks around here that I've taken my bike out on, and other people. I mean, it's kind of like just like a daily thing for them.
Right. So you just sort of mountain bike. Well, I mean, I know a lot of people here who have both, and fat biking is good in the summer as well as in the winter. I have not
Hmm.
gravitated to it yet. No, I'm not probably not going to. I'm like, I can't afford another bike. I just got a gravel bike. So that's that's where I'm going. So now you're gonna start a new job. That's super
Yes.
exciting. It's gonna take away from all your free time. What are you gonna do?
I'll fit it in where I can.
I'm just teasing. I know you are. So
One
now,
of the beautiful things. Oh,
yeah, no, tell me more, a little bit more about Alaska, because it's just one of those mystery places.
so one of the beautiful things about Alaska in general, but in particular Fairbanks, is that fat biking and just biking in general is kind of like an accepted part of the culture here. Many of the times when they do road construction or they do road improvements, they put walking and biking trails into the equation, so they actively expand those. Um,
Nice.
dog dog mushing is another thing that's really popular here as a winter activity. So in
Hmm.
the summer, those dog mushing trails double up as biking trails and hiking trails. So there are 50 to 60 miles worth of trails all around like the immediate city limits that, I mean, you can find yourself lost in for days at a time if you wanted to, really, and just bike them. And because of that, there's people that live on the outskirts of town that willfully choose to bike in and out to town for work on a daily
Hmm.
basis. In the winter, they ski or they fat bike. Um, Skidjourning is another thing. That's where like you have dogs and you attach the dogs to you, and they kind of like pull you on your bike or your skis.
Everybody needs a couple dogs for that. What do you call that?
Skidjourning,
Skidjourning. Oh, I like that
and
little towing action.
yeah, I mean, but I mean, like it's really a way of life up here. It's awesome. I mean, on any given day, like you'll see people running, jogging, you'll see people biking, you'll see people skiing. There's and people up here are very crafty too. You'll see like those bike carriers that have the wheels. People take the wheels off and they'll put skis on them, so they
Oh
can
yeah.
still go out and enjoy biking, but they can have their kids in the back,
Uh-huh.
so they can get into it too. It's
Mm.
it's a very interesting way to live life up here with like how active everything is.
That's great. I know quite a few people who have done bike tours in Alaska. They have um they try and cycle through every one of the US states, and
Hmm.
of course making up to Alaska is one of them. And a couple of my friends that I've met and done the podcast episode have made it up there and back, and I'm just like, that's amazing. I always find it interesting when people just decide that they're going to bike across the United States, and just gonna bike across the United States for this month. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know where they find the time or the money to do that because it's not cheap.
Yeah. Well, yeah, usually it's a sabbatical, or quite a few of them have been teachers. So
Mm.
they got the summer off. That's what you need to become a teacher, Daniel. Take the summer off, bike down into the States and back up. So this is super cool. I really appreciate and you sharing with our listeners. Is there any last bit of wisdom or information you'd like to share? You can share where they can find you and follow your journey up in Alaska.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess if there's one bit of wisdom that I could share with the listeners and watchers, is that it's never too late to change your life around. before I got into biking, I felt like a ship without a sail, right? Like I knew
Mm.
I wanted to go somewhere, but I had no idea how I was going to get there. Um, and biking, just like it's just been a net positive overall. Like it's increased my physical fitness, it's increased my mental fitness, and I've met people and have rubbed elbows with people that like if it wasn't for biking, we would have probably never associated with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a fun and healthy activity. It's as long as you keep up on it and you keep up with the maintenance, it's not something that is ever going to. You're not going to see it as like a waste of time or a waste of money. Like it's just something to help build a foundation of your life. And
Yeah.
regardless of where you are in your life or your past experiences, like biking can be one of those things that can help propel you to the next stage of your life.
Yeah.
And
No.
as far as social media, I mean, if you want to follow me, Fat Bike Curious, with underscores in between each letter.
I know. Fat underscore bike underscore curious.
Yes.
And that's where I found him. So I really thank you. I love bringing stories like this, especially in different places. Alaska is one of those that's just so mysterious. And like I was mentioning to you, my husband and I watch a lot of survival type reality shows, and there have been a fair amount of them out of Alaska, like solo, living off the land type of shows, and we've always really enjoyed them. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's it's fun to be able to talk to somebody who lives there. Maybe not as extreme as those guys, but a cyclist and living in Fairbanks, Alaska. So I want to thank you again. And don't forget to follow Daniel at fat underscore bike underscore curious and follow his life up in Alaska. And also follow the podcast at Seekers from the Saddle podcast on Instagram. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter so that you don't miss an episode, a weekly episode. So with that, thanks so much, everyone. Have an amazing day. And thanks a lot, Daniel, again.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good day.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Daniel, and I hope you caught this on YouTube because I don't know, just watching him sitting on his porch in the sunshine with his bike in the background, it just gave a whole new meaning of, the passion wrapped around fat biking and what Alaska means. And I don't know about you, but I think Alaska is as close to the wilderness as you can find any country, not country, but like any city such as Fairbanks. So I hope you enjoyed that and, gave you a little perspective as to what it's like up there. But anyways, I hope you have an amazing day and we'll see you on the next episode.